Good Friday afternoon or evening. Welcome. It's Friday yet again. You can leave your AC on. I know it's loud, but you can't roast for an hour.
Yeah, it's okay. I'll survive.
Okay. So how's everybody doing? Are you doing okay, Victor?
I think that everybody's on vacations.
Well, not everybody, because here's Ingen. Here's Chris.
How do you know that he's not connecting from some beach or something like that?
I am hopeful, and Karen's here. I'm hopeful that anybody that's on vacation actually doesn't watch us live.
I hope so too.
That would be sad. Anyway, my name's Darren. This over here is Victor, and we are the co-host of a podcast called DevOps Paradox. And on Fridays, we do this live stream and talk about the news of the week. So, wait. Dialed in from Turkey, even worse on a hotspot. Dude.
See?
But
margarita, man.
Cheers to you, man. That's, golly. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do it for myself. Oh, man. So Victor is at home, it appears, which is good.
Yes, I am.
And hopefully I don't lose internet because I am tethered. So if I lose... Oh, you know what? Hang on a second. You know what I forgot to do? Yep, I did not do that. There we go. Because I was tethered to my phone, but my phone was connecting to Wi-Fi. My Wi-Fi doesn't go offline, only the internet. So now I'm good. I got to come up with a one-button push for that somehow or another. So let's just go ahead and get into it. How do I get into it? That's how I get into it.
Very good.
So this week, we had Dom Holt on from Harpoon. He's a fractional CTO. Do you know what a fractional CTO is?
I have no idea. Sounds fancy.
It is. So fractionals, and it doesn't have to be just a CTO, but fractional means you're part-time.
Okay, that was my guess.
Yeah. So a startup doesn't have time to completely pay for a CTO or anybody else, but they can pay for part-time. It's not a bad gig if you can get it, right? Because you can focus on a couple of things. You're not going to be focusing on 15 things, but 2 or 3 things.
That's kind of brilliant. That's absolutely amazing. Because one of the biggest problems with CTOs and startups is that I do not know whether this will exist for a year or 2 longer. Like this, you can be CTOs of 5 startups, and then kind of one of them is going to succeed. Why not?
It's very... How do I say this? So you see fractional CFOs a lot, which sort of makes sense. You see fractional CMOs, chief marketing, a lot. And I've seen a couple of CTOs, but not as much as the other two. So anyway, that's just... Oh, by the way. But anyway, this is drag and drop deployments with Kubernetes. I know how you feel about that in general.
You know.
I know how I feel about it. But as a learning tool, it's not a bad thing.
Yeah. Why not?
Why not?
I mean, everything I learned about, most of the things I learned about AWS GK and Azure was drag and drop. I mean, okay, they're not allowing me to drag, but it's very similar.
Absolutely. So if you haven't listened to the episode yet, it's episode 173. Episodes come out on Wednesdays at 6 a.m. Eastern, noon CET. I need to learn some other time zones. I was talking to somebody the other day. I did another live stream for the day job. And I was like, there's 24 time zones in the world. I went, no, that's not right. I shouldn't have said that out loud because there's more. Like time zones that are on the half hour. Those are the ones that really mess me up. Those are...
But then again, maybe some time zones are skipped.
I know. It just like, I know where I'm at right now. So I'm good. Sebastian, good to see you. And we have a stranger here today with us. We have Vladislav on.
I don't know. Who is
Good
that?
to see you. Yeah, I don't know. So anyway, podcast. Hi, Vladislav. Thanks for hanging out today. It has been quite a while. But anyway, so that was this week. We talked about Harpoon. We're doing pretty good. We have just about got the rest of the year scheduled out. Not recorded, but scheduled. Like, I'm starting to schedule for 2023 now. That doesn't seem possible. It's still August, and I'm scheduling into, 5 months in the future. You know what's not future anymore? Kubernetes 125.
Was it released? Okay. Nice. 3 days ago.
Yep. So we talked about it last week just from the sysdig early post, which they usually come out a week before. So we probably won't spend a whole lot of time here, but this is the official post. They called it Combiner. Don't know why. Let's see. Made up of many, many individual components that, when combined, take the form of the project you see today. Hey, look, this is not Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. This does not combine into Megazord. It just doesn't. At best, it's Frankenstein's monster. Am I going to get a cease and desist for saying that? Maybe. I hope not. Okay, so I would have to agree with this, though. You said the 125 logo is badass. It's cool. Yeah. It's sort of Cylon versus Flash.
No, man, I'm pretty sure it's Mandalorian.
Versus. Oh, you think so?
Yeah.
Oh, could
maybe.
be.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Who knows?
Dude, you've got Disney Plus. Do you have Disney Plus?
Of course I do. I have all of the streaming services.
All the streaming services. Have you watched Light and Magic yet? Is it available in Spain? It should be.
I haven't heard about that. No.
It's a 6-episode series on industrial light and magic, and they take you from and it just was released like a few weeks ago, and it takes you from the beginning of how they built industrial light and magic all the way up through basically when Mandalorian came out.
Oh, nice!
It's worth watching. So go ahead and just block 6 or 7 hours of yourself. No, don't do anything else, and you're just going to sit there and watch that. Have your daughter bring you popcorn the whole time.
That's for upcoming flights.
Maybe. Yes, you should, actually. We'll talk about flights later. Anyway, PSP is gone.
Finally.
So what happens?
Nobody gets confused with it.
So what happens if you have an app running that has a PSP, and then the cluster gets upgraded to 125? Does it just ignore it? It just ignored and dropped on the floor?
Yeah, I don't know what will happen. That's a cool question. I don't know what will happen with existing policies in a cluster.
I mean, if there's nothing there to process it, does it lock it up, or does it just ignore it?
Yeah, good question. I have no idea. I mean, obviously, you will not be able, if it's not in the API, you will not be able to submit or modify them. But I don't know what happens with the system.
Yep. Ephemeral containers are stable. cgroups v2 to stable. Improved Windows support. I'm just going to keep going. Set comp default to beta. Import and network policy to stable, and a bunch of other things. Yet again, Kubernetes is boring. This is like when we were first talking about EKS Cuddle, right? EKS Cuddle was great because something was changing every time. EKS specific, yes, but it was still new. But now EKS Cuddle is boring.
Exactly.
I saw their RC come out and was like, oh yeah, we're supporting Carpenter 115 or whatever the number was. I went, oh okay, good.
Think about it. Only if there are so many projects on top of Kubernetes that if core Kubernetes contributors would work only on supporting those projects, features that are required for those projects to be successful, that's already tremendous work.
Yeah. So, I guess go ahead and grab a soda, grab some chips, and then you can read this official blog post from Kubernetes. Because there's a long list. What do you think is going to go out next? I haven't looked at the 126 stuff yet.
I don't know. To be honest, I'm not following much of, if at all, the Kubernetes releases anymore. I'm more interested now in SIGs, Kubernetes SIGs, like Cluster API, for example. Right? That's something to me that sounds interesting to watch and then eventually that will probably get into Kubernetes, and then I will stop following it.
Yeah, so Ian brings up a point. The container registry move is huge impact for anyone running on site. And this is true at any large company. In my company, it takes some time to get the clearance from security for firewall changes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But Engine, you should be using mirror registry. Anyways.
Yeah. Now, this is a good question. What Kubernetes should we upgrade to now?
You need to upgrade to the next minor version, period. And then so if you want to go 2 versions above, that's 2 upgrades.
Right, but if 125 is shipped, but if you're running a vendor provided, do you take the top one or you go -1?
I mean, vendor provider will not give you anything newer than -1.
Well, usually -2. But that's what I'm saying is...
I mean, yeah, I'm being optimistic now, -1,
Yeah.
but yeah, -2 very often, yes.
Right, but what should you do? If you're creating a new cluster today in GKE, what version do you pick? Do you pick 123?
The latest stable version, which I believe is 123 something.
Yeah.
Just kind of whatever the provider's latest stable version is, that's what you pick.
Just take that one. Yeah.
The other thing is that if often providers have experimental version or not yet stable and what's not, and you use that one if you want to try some new features. Be prepared. Just stable.
Okay. Now, we're talking about the people trying to manage these clusters and deciding which ones to use. InfoWorld this week, the managing editor had a post for devs don't want to do ops. Look.
Of course they don't.
They've never wanted to do ops. Never. Thus the name of this live stream and this podcast.
I would rephrase that a bit. I mean, I do think that devs would like to be able to do to self-serve themselves, but it needs to be that easy. Kind of like, hey, if you give an ops button that he clicks and just clicks one button, and he gets a cluster that he needs, that person will choose that over filling in 57 different fields in Jira and waiting for 2 months until he gets that cluster. So I like to distinguish kind of like, yes, devs do not want to do ops in terms of expertise that is required to do ops. Of course they don't. Kind of like, who has 3 years to learn it, right?
I agree.
But easy button, yeah, everybody wants easy button. Why not?
Everybody wants the easy button until the easy button isn't good enough for them and they want the 15 other things or the 50 other things. And then they go off and build it themselves.
That's why I think we have a lot of focus now, for a while now, on platform engineering. Yeah, kind of like, I do not know whether your dev needs 1 button or 15 buttons, but he's your customer. Figure it out. Speak with him. Kind of like, I don't know. It depends on your dev. Kind of, you need to make it as easy as it can be, but not kind of like to the level that it's so easy that you cannot do what you need to do.
I recommend reading this. This is another one to where you need a drink of some sort. And because I'm not going to scroll down through this because there's lots of people's names and I just don't want them burned into video forever and ever, amen. Except for the managing editor, which Scott, I'm fine with his name being there. Give him the credit. But this is a really good article, and I've passed it around to a few other people, and they tend to like it a lot as well. But we'll see if management likes it or not. So anyway, that's from InfoWorld this week. Now, the other big shakeup this week, I saw this title, Heroku's Next Chapter. I went, oh no, is Salesforce selling them? Because that was a great teaser to me. It's like, are they getting rid of them? Are they, what is it? So now, actually a few good things. A public roadmap published on GitHub. 2 thumbs up.
Cool. Very cool.
Focusing on mission critical. This is where everybody's getting bent out of shape. Discontinuing free product plans and deleting inactive accounts. We'll come back to that.
Yeah, okay.
Students and nonprofits, they're working on sort of making that work. That's good. And then open source support. They're still all behind build packs. So, yeah. Public roadmap, down with it. But let's look at this focus on mission critical. So starting in October, we're going to start deleting inactive accounts and associated storage for those accounts that have been inactive for over a year.
I think that every single SaaS provider should do that.
This is like Slack's recent change, past couple of months change, to where now they only keep 90 days of history for the free accounts.
Not quite. I mean, deleting 90 days of history does not mean that I'm not using that history, right?
Okay.
They're literally saying, hey, you're not using it. Why do we pay for it? Right. I mean, that's highlighted sentence. The second sentence is more interesting to me.
This one.
Yeah. The way I interpret it, every single vendor almost everybody has free plans, and that's not because all those software companies are good people. That's because that's how you attract new users. You give a service for free. When that service jumps in usage, you start charging money. That's a model, kind of like of 95% of SaaS companies, right? If they're not offering free accounts anymore, that means that they give up on attracting new users to it. That's my interpretation, which is probably for the best, because I doubt it. Many new users are jumping into Heroku.
Yeah, so basically, the way I look at it is, if I have any more videos to create to where I need a runtime, I've got about a month to get them all done.
There you go.
At least from using Heroku. But I have no problems with this. It makes total sense.
Yeah.
I wish the free would be there, but it would be a time-limited free.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean,
could I run it for just 2 days? Right? Just, I'm trying to test something out. Do I want to spend $7 or not to test something out? That would be nice.
Nobody wants to try something without buying first. Wants to buy something without trying first. No, nobody does that anymore. So they don't want new users. They cannot get new users. I think that's fair enough. That's what it is.
Yeah.
So why then generate cost from it?
Just rip it out. Yeah. No, I get it. And I have options. I've got Fly. I've got Render. I've got... Who else do I have? That's pretty much it. Yeah, I think for the lowest end, that's probably about it.
I mean, I don't know. Like, almost all vendors are now offering Heroku-like something.
Correct, but not necessarily have a free...
Look at GCR, that's Heroku-like.
It is, but it's not free.
It is. No, it is. For quite a number of requests, kind of like I can send low traffic on that DevOps Toolkit series.com, and they never charge me anything, right? Kind of, if it's low traffic. I don't know what's the exact number of requests you get for free, but enough to play with it, right?
Yeah, and I just haven't tried it, so I have to admit though, if I'm using, help me, what's it called? You just said it.
Google Cloud Run.
Yeah, GCR. If I'm using GCR, I've got to go through a lot more setup than I ever had to do with Heroku.
Do you?
Well, you have to set up a project. You have to get there's more things versus with Heroku. I go in, I create the app, I have the key, and I'm off to the races.
Yeah, maybe. I mean,
it's not much, but it's just the friction to get there is a little bit more.
Yeah, now there is definitely a question whether Heroku is better option or worse option. All I'm trying to say for now is that everybody I know has a Heroku-like service, at least one.
Yes.
Kind of the other day I was working with Scaleway. Kind of, hey, among other things, do you have a container image? Yes. Okay, here you go. The application is running, right?
Yep. I'm going to go over to the chat here for just a second. Vladislav's here saying, the storm is coming and everybody wants to duck and cover and lower costs. That's focusing on making money. Everybody's pulling back right now, thinking a recession's coming next year, like legit recession.
Yeah, no. I mean, you want to definitely, whenever situations like this happen, you want to save money. Now, there is a difference between saving money and removing things that might save you money, but also prevent you from getting new business. getting new business is not necessarily part where you save money.
Right. Would like to know what the ROI is on free plans. What's the actual conversion to paying customer? I can probably say about that much. Maybe.
Very small, yeah.
Very, very small. Or, this is funny, Heroku just hosts their stuff on Fargate, auto shutdown guaranteed. That's effectively what they do. I mean, they're on AWS anyway.
Actually, I take back my statement very small. I think it's actually very big now when I think about it. Yeah, you might need to host 1,000 free accounts for one customer, but when that customer comes, and that customer is a type of the customer that they are aiming for, meaning larger companies, and that pays itself off in no time, immediately. Now, if you talk about 100K deal, right? Kind of.
Yeah.
How many free accounts you need to have to reach that figure?
Well, and Sebastian asked, will Heroku stay around? The answer is yes. They are backed by Salesforce, and they're not changing their pricing on their existing plans. They're just getting rid of the free tier. And I think that's reasonable. I mean, do I like it? No. Because I like using Heroku as just a test. Does this work? Great. Okay, tear it down, delete it all, and off I'm gone. Right? I'm not a long-term person. But yeah, it's not going anywhere. Is it what I would pick day one for actually running a production infrastructure? Probably not, but I'm not opposed to it either.
Yeah.
Right? If I got a monolithic container, it's something simple, why not? It's probably, no, there's no probably about that.
Everything is better than Beanstalk.
No, and here's the reason why. Because with Beanstalk is great, but it's basically just an easy button for infrastructure. It's not, here, go run my container.
Exactly.
Right? And but there are use cases for Beanstalk. I'm not opposed to Beanstalk either, but if I just have a container, I need to run a container and then connect two services.
Let's face it, Heroku is one of the few services or projects that actually changed this industry. It literally changed many of the things. Significant number of projects or new services and things coming, innovation. That's all based on ideas behind Heroku.
I mean, number one, build packs, right? Build packs changed everything to me.
Yeah.
I mean, Maven's great, Gradle's great, Ant
We're
is
talking
great.
about build packs existing not long before, but before anyone said the word Docker.
Right. Because you gave it the code, it figured out, it looked at it, and it's like, oh, there's a POM XML. So this is Maven, so I know how to build Maven. It's like watching Jurassic Park. Do you remember watching Jurassic Park?
Oh, yeah.
And they're sitting in the control room, and the girl looks at the computer terminal, it's like, this is Unix. I know this. Right? That's what build packs are. It's like, I see this. I know what this is. I can do this. So, I think everything they're doing is great. I have no problems with it. I'm sad. Sad? Is that too strong of a term? Maybe not.
Yeah, you're allowed to.
Yeah. But now for my tire kicking ideas, it won't be Heroku anymore. So, and that's okay. Thanks, Jivad. Thank you. You know what? You are the first person to do a super chat on this channel.
Yeah.
The first.
Hey,
because we've had it set up, but it's like, we don't push for that hard. So it's, thank you.
Thanks.
Editing those videos, yes. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. Since we were talking about AWS here for just a moment ago, EKS Anywhere, which is the EKS flavor that you can run yourself, now has curated packages. I like this a lot. Because
I don't know what it is. Is it a Helm chart?
Okay, so let me take you through it. The answer is yes, but it's not just the Helm chart. It's the images, obviously, associated with the Helm chart. But the key part to this is these are open source packages you can freely access, so no different. The curated packages are container images that Amazon builds from open source and tests for compatibility with each new EKS release. Think about it.
Nice.
Right? If because the ones that they're supporting right now are Harbor, to start with, Harbor, MetalLB, and Emissary. Small list, right? And that's okay. But
Yeah.
like for MetalLB, if I was using the open source version of MetalLB and then I upgraded EKS and something broke in EKS, it would suck for me.
But you know, that kind of reminds me of Red Hat. What was it called? Satellite? Was it Satellite?
Satellite, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that I was always annoyed with it, but that's a separate story. The idea is great, kind of like you have a whole distribution, Linux, in this case Kubernetes, that is kind of guaranteed to be conform at work, what's not, and all the things you need to install come from us because we validated it. And when I say all, it's kind of like most of the things you ever need, right? Now, if the reason why I'm negative towards this news is that 3 is just a ridiculous number, kind of like, I don't really care. If I'm going to have 100 things installed in my Kubernetes cluster, and I am, whether I want it or no, then 3 do not make a difference.
Today. But this
today.
is the...
No, so yeah, exactly. If they become equivalent of a small version of
Satellite.
Of what was before the stable channel of Helm,
Correct.
right?
Yep.
Or Docker Hub for container images, official images on Docker Hub, not all. If they become something like that, I think that's great. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm gonna pull up Sebastian's question here. Can you run them on other distros? No. The EKS curated packages are only available to A, customers with the Amazon EKS Anywhere Enterprise subscription. So this goes back to, and that's not A, I guess it's only A. This goes back to your satellite reference, right? You couldn't use satellite unless you were a paying Red Hat customer. And that's what this is as well. Again, this is not targeted at me tire kicking on the weekend. This is targeted at enterprises.
Oh yeah.
And given a choice as an enterprise, it's like, oh wait, I can run Harbor and I know it's going to work. And when I upgrade from 123 to 124 when it comes out, I don't have to think about Harbor breaking.
That's not the story, Darin. The story is,
oh, come on.
I can run Harbor like this, and if something goes wrong, I know who to blame.
Okay, yeah, well, that's the subtext, but yes. Because I'm paying for that.
Exactly.
Which I guess technically I am paying for that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's why it's only for customers.
So the question of Jivan, are these available for regular EKS? I don't believe so. It's for EKS Anywhere. And you can't run EKS Anywhere inside of AWS. I don't think you run inside. Could you self-host EKS Anywhere? I guess you technically could.
You could technically. But, it's not a coincidence that one of the 3 packages of total 3 is MetalLB, which there is no good reason why you would run it in AWS, right?
Right.
And probably all 3 are actually related somehow, how to connect... are related to connections between Anywhere and AWS itself.
Right. Why lock into something available in OSS? What's the benefit? Yes, it's typical enterprise fear mongering. Yes, it is.
It's peace of mind.
It's insurance.
Whether it's really peace of mind or no, that's a different question. But that's the promise, right? Kind of like you do not need to worry whether there is something malicious there, unstable, or whatsoever. We did the work. So I see it as, hey, I should, whenever I install something, if let's say open source Helm chart, I should actually do due diligence to make sure that something is working, right? So it saves me that work. That's what it does.
The work which translates to time, money.
Exactly.
Especially
which can be used for something more important for my business.
Right. And especially if I'm like most enterprises to where I'm outsourcing, contracting out a lot of my staff. Anyway. Well, okay, I want to disagree with this statement a little bit. The OSS, you have to open issues through GitHub and pray. Okay, no, I completely agree with this. I misread it to begin with. Yes, pray somebody will answer. That's the problem.
No.
Especially if you're one of my OSS people, I'm horrible on answering issues. And I apologize now.
Yes, and I mean different projects, different communities are different, react in different ways and what's not. But I think it would be far-fetched, at least now, to assume that the issues found in open source projects that AWS is packaging will be fixed by AWS in open source right away.
Absolutely.
So I don't think that there will be a huge difference in that aspect. There is a difference that they're giving you the version that actually they tested, that validated what's or not. But if there is an issue, that issue needs to go to that project no matter how, whether you use it directly or through those packages.
Yep.
And unless you are like one of the, I don't know, Fortune 500, Fortune 100 companies, AWS is not going to put engineering effort to fix it in open source.
No. Well, but for these three, they will, right? Because they said they will. These are not enterprise versions of these three. These are verified versions of these.
I don't know that they said that, yeah, whenever you find a bug, we're going to fix it. That they validate it and they might be giving you 3 versions behind and stuff like that.
Right.
Test for compatibility, exactly. So they're giving you tested version of something.
I know
fixing
this
all the issues.
Exactly. I know that this version of Harbor is going to work with this version of EKS.
Exactly.
I don't even have to think about it. And if it doesn't work, they're going to deal with it. I don't have to. That's the key part.
I still like it, just to clarify. I do think that, especially bigger companies, there is a comment from Gordon who said in my enterprise space. I don't think that's not necessarily true. I think that there is a great value in being able to focus on what matters for you and giving the rest to other companies kind of who have that as their business. If the price is right.
Yep. One step away from OpenShift. I hope they actually come up with something like that at some point in the future. I don't think it'll be EKS. It'll be some other name.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. And
I mean, the fact that this is that we're talking about EKS anywhere and not EKS no matter which one means that there is probably something related with how EKS anywhere works in conjunction with the AWS. There's that kind of communication. Otherwise, it would be available in EKS, you know.
Yeah.
If it's, yeah.
Yeah. Paying might be easier than to contribute because if you have to clear every contribution with legal. Yeah. That's what it is. One more thing from AWS this week. And I'm sorry, I cannot remember the guy's name from Kubecost. I'm drawing a blank.
I forgot the name, but yeah.
So he was on the podcast a while. AWS and Kubecost collaborate to deliver cost monitoring. So this is a variation of what we were just talking about. Not the same, but a variant. So now I'm going to scroll way the heck down here. With this announcement, well, not there. Challenge, blah, blah, blah. Wait, where was it? Here it is. Okay, I lied. I had it. I found it earlier. Okay, here we go. With this announcement, EKS customers can deploy an EKS optimized bundle of Kubecost for cluster cost visibility. Available free of charge, and customers can get Kubecost support from AWS as part of their support agreements. And then it goes through all this. Now, in reading this, the data that's being captured by Kubecost does not go back into your normal AWS console reports. You still deploy Kubecost into your cluster, and you still access the Kubecost reporting that already exists. The difference here is that you will now get support through AWS.
Yeah. Nice.
So, and you did a video about Kubecost, I think, a long time ago.
Yeah, a year ago, maybe, something like that.
So anyway, again, this is a good, these types of, I'm going to use the word partnership. It's not really a partnership, but these types of things coming together, that's great for the open source community, I think.
Yeah, and it's also great for users. So in this case of AWS EKS, right? Kind of like, if I can have everything I have without just kind of, you know, just like I get cluster autoscaler without thinking much about it. I know it's just there when I create GKE.
Yep.
I want that for distributions to expand.
So anyway, that is now, when did this come out? I believe it was yesterday. I've lost track. I don't even know what today is. 25th. 25th or 23rd? 25th. Yesterday. Okay. So that's that. Two things I thought that were big from AWS this week. I haven't seen anything coming from GCP other than last week or week before last, they're getting rid of all their IoT.
I think that Google is having some developer conference next in
Is
a
it?
few weeks, month or something like that. Yeah.
They're normal. Wait, that's normally in, oh yeah, it's normally in September. So
They might be keeping it for that.
okay. Now GitHub yesterday announced SSH commit verifications. Do you use SSH or do you use HTTPS when you're working with GitHub?
HTTPS. I never even checked what is better out of laziness.
Okay. Well, in my case, I use SSH, and now I can sign all my commits. Now, there's other ways to do this as well, not necessarily with GitHub, but I could use cosign to sign a commit. There's just lots of different ways. But now it's nice and referenceable within the UI of GitHub.
Yeah.
So, what I don't really understand, though, is how can you partially verify a signature? I don't. Because I read this sentence like, if a commit or tag has an SSH signature that is cryptographically verifiable. So it's verifiable cryptographically.
Yeah, you probably need to put you at some point you put your SSH key into GitHub, and probably then it compares it whether that's what pushed it or something.
I guess, and you can have multiple SSH keys. So I don't know. I haven't set it up yet since it was just yesterday, but I like this a lot. Don't know why. It's simple,
Very cool.
right? It's a very simple thing. Let's get into some tools. So virt, this is weird. A small Linux VM ready to run containers for macOS on ARM. By the way, I'm still loving my Mac Studio.
But so it's Docker Desktop and Minikube and everybody else. Okay.
So that's what this is. I mean, it's like, but this is just, it's super lightweight as compared to the other guys. Based on Apple's virtualization framework. You know, I haven't tried it out yet. I'm going to try it just to see if I can run it. But it's funny that they're setting up Podman. But
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense, right? There's no reason not to.
Yeah, I mean, Podman is fully compatible with everything Docker,
So, quick little tool. This is not super old. Well, actually, I guess it is. It's older, but not super old. And it's called virt. And it's for macOS on ARM. Here's a tool I'd forgotten about. It's at lnav.org. It's the Logfile Navigator. If you want to be able to parse logs in a crazy way, this is the tool you want to use. Have you ever used this?
No.
I had forgotten about it.
You pipe it into it or something like that?
Yeah, so one of the things you can do, here, let's just go to the docs because that'll help the most. So you can point it at a directory and it will interleave based on timestamps, the logs that are there if you want. I mean, if you wanted to like mash them all up, that's one way to do it. It's just a super powerful tool. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, but it came up in one of my Slack threads this week, and I was like, I'd forgotten about this. Because when I was doing services, this was a big deal for me, being able to parse these quick. So just point to a directory and it'll take care of the rest. File formats are automatically detected, and compressed files are unpacked on the fly. That was the other big thing. So I could get a zip file that has a lot of log files in it. You have to unzip it and go. No, this just takes care of it. So lnav.org. Let's see what we have here. Kube session. I don't know if this is going to make a big difference to you or not.
Session, okay.
Kubesess.
Yeah, session, yeah, okay, true. So what is it?
So what it is it keeps track. So there's 4 windows here. By default, when you connect, your session overwrites your kube config file, right?
When you connect your session,
Like if I'm connecting and working against a specific cluster, I'm having to switch, right? So if I want to connect to this cluster,
applies to everybody,
right? So whereas here, based on the terminal I'm in, it keeps track of which thing I'm connected to.
Okay, that's actually very cool. Very useful.
So it's written in Rust. It appears to be a kubectl plugin. Or maybe not. I don't know. No. Anyway, I haven't installed it yet, but that was on the plan for next week because I got some Kubernetes stuff to do next week.
No, this is extremely exciting, to be honest. Because what I've been doing in the past in those situations that I would have different kubeconfig files, and then I would be doing kubectl with kubeconfig1, kubectl with kubeconfig2.
Yep.
Or environment variables or what's not, right?
Yeah, not horrible. You can do it, but you're having to remember to do it versus, okay, I've spun this session up, and as long as this terminal stays live, that's the session.
Very cool.
Let's see here. Okay. I'm gonna go back to the GitHub thing here. There were already GPG signatures. That's correct, but just not the SSH. Okay. One last thing I saw. You've used Elasticsearch in the past, right?
Yes.
Was it easy to work with?
Never. Elastic was.
Was it easy?
Searching. No, wait.
It's
searching.
great.
Doing search itself is easy. It's
easy.
That's absolutely great. Yeah. Managing Elasticsearch is a pain in the ass, but
operationally, it's a challenge. Can be a challenge if you haven't done it a lot. I have set up large-scale Elasticsearch clusters, and for me, it's not that big of a deal. It's been a while, but give me an hour, and I'll probably be back to where I was 5 years ago. And it's moved a lot since then, so I know I'm out of date. But Zinc Search is a completely Elasticsearch ingestion API at this point only, compatible search engine. Written completely in Go. So I don't have to worry about the JVM. It is open source. They also have some paid things around it. The GitHub is growing like wildfire because people just get... Now, here's the thing you don't get. Because if you already have a lot of Kibana dashboards built, too bad, so sad. Because right now, notice how I'd said there's an Elasticsearch compatible ingestion, but not reporting yet. They're working on actually creating to be fully Elasticsearch compatible API.
But, if you... I think that there are many people who build Kibana stuff for logs. For other stuff, yes. For metrics, what's not. But for logs, I cannot imagine why would you need the dashboard beyond these are the logs, this is how you filter logs.
Right, just pull up, and they got a dashboard here that you can use. It's just you have to use their dashboard to get to the data. And, doesn't really matter to me. So this is Zinc Search. I think we need to keep our ear to the ground on this. Just because. Schemaless indexes, full text search, we would expect that. Embedded web UI, we expect that. Compatibility with API. Aggregations, and they're also working for index storage out to S3 and MinIO. So that's Zinc Search. And finally, we are at Garden.
There we are. I wasn't very kind to it. It has a potential, kind of like... at the same time, I like it and dislike it, to be honest. What they're trying to do has a potential to be the most complete, in a way, development, whatever you need for development type of tool. But then it strays away into other areas that is where it's very, very weak, right? Kind of, I don't know if you have that feeling. When you see some project and you say, I can picture in my head how big the team is, and they're just doing too much. That's the feeling I had.
That's what it sounded like, too. Do you have hopes for it? Do you have high hopes for it?
I'm not sure that I would qualify it as high hopes, but I can imagine that project going...
doing well.
Somewhere. Yeah, doing well. Yeah, I can easily imagine that. I don't think that it's necessarily there today.
Right.
But yeah, it can do pretty well. Something that at least I'm certainly going to kind of keep an eye open.
go back to this question. Should you use Elastic or OpenSearch today?
I haven't used OpenSearch.
So OpenSearch is the fork that AWS did when they got angry at Elastic.
Okay. Yeah,
That's
I mean
7.5 something, whatever it was,
okay,
because
Elastic.
you would stick with Elastic.
I'm never sure about the commitment of AWS with something is open source beyond exclusive self-interests. I mean, everybody looks for self-interest, just to clarify, everybody. But kind of, the AWS did not convince me yet about open source. I see a lot of fail attempts, to be honest. Like Carpenter, right? Good idea, good project, great project, failed to go beyond AWS.
Okay. Jumping back here. Garden people were really nice at KubeCon. That's...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I spoke with them, so kind of, it's not a malicious video or anything like that. And we're going to have a drink in Detroit. I'm going to have a drink with them. So they already promised that they owe me a couple of beers.
A couple?
Yeah, I'm being moderate.
Okay. Do we really need a complete development tool? Shouldn't devs be able to mix and match tools? I have two answers for that. I want you to go first.
Okay, so no, I definitely think that developers should mix and match tools. Like, hey, you compile with this, you test with this, and stuff like that. I definitely think that that's true. But I do think that also we need some kind of a tool, whether that's a shell script or Garden or Scaffold or something like that, that will just tie all those tools together, potentially run in the background continuously, and just kind of like, okay, so when you're developing, you need to build, you need to deploy maybe somewhere, you need to test, and you need to do that almost all the time, right? You need the wrapper around all those tools. Now, in this conversation, I'm not entering whether that wrapper should be a shell script or Garden or something else, but I think that something like that is needed. Doesn't replace your tools. It just wraps them up.
One word. Or actually, it's two words. Visual Studio. That's a complete development tool. Not that you should use it as a complete development tool, but it is one.
Exactly. But, Visual Studio Code is also having...
Not Visual Studio Code. Visual Studio.
Okay, Studio. Okay. But code as well. But they're also using the same approach, right? It's kind of like
Correct.
They're wrapping around Git and Go compiler and Maven and whatever, right? Kind of, it doesn't come with package those tools, nor it forces you to use only. There is only one way to compile things. Those tools are not about that. They're about helping you interact with all the tools that you chose.
Okay. So next week. You have a Monday video. We have a Wednesday podcast. We have
Thursday AMA.
Thursday AMA, and we have no next Friday.
Okay.
We're taking next Friday off. I therefore decree.
It's been said.
My wife's birthday is next weekend, so
Nice.
one less thing to do. So we'll call that, and then again, I'll be out again probably 2 weeks in September. That's why I was a little bit hesitant, but I figured, no, I'll take it off.
Why not?
Well, I know I'm out at least one Friday in September, probably two. Yeah, probably two. Well, I don't know. And you might be out in September too.
Oh, it's September, October, and
Exactly.
most of November is going to be...
What is it with these conferences actually going back in person?
I don't
Did I
know.
say that out loud?
And they're all happening now, kind of like... I just got... I already committed to like 5 conferences in October 6 and just got another invitation. 6, 7 conferences. I don't know anymore. Kind of. So
All in person?
Yeah, all in person. Most. Let's say
okay.
most.
I don't
But
understand.
when you think about it, if I would have been organizing conference and knowing that it takes a while until you organize that, I'm going to say optimistically half a year, right? And that's very
Oh.
optimistic.
Extremely optimistic.
Yeah, I'm being now kind of like, extremely optimistic. Still, for before summer, it was too early when you calculate how much time to predict actually that it will be doable, right?
Right.
Realistically, this now after summer, September, October is the first period that was safe. Let's say that you started around the beginning of the year to organize. Safe as in somebody will come. Not
right.
safe as if
Not
safe.
Safe, right.
Somebody will come.
Let me ask this question. Are most of those fly dates for you? Most of them you have to fly to get to those conferences?
Yeah.
They're all fly. Are you buying non-refundable tickets or fully refundable tickets?
I'm always buying non-refundable tickets.
To save money.
To save money, yeah.
And so basically if it gets canceled, you'll just take the credit.
Yeah, then I get the credit, exactly.
Okay.
So kind of like,
All right.
I lose money if I cancel it myself.
Correct.
I choose not to go, right? And I think that all those are scams. Half of those, they're kind of like, it's just for the double the price, you can change the change the date.
Yeah. It is okay. Ingen, thank you for thinking it's going to be a sad, but make it happy. Just think about it's like Darren gets to spend time with his wife. Said differently, Darren's wife is not beating him up because we're going off and doing something, which I haven't figured out what that is yet, but we're going to do something.
We need to protect that in there.
Yeah. We might just go to Walmart. I haven't decided yet. It won't be that. Are we doing the idea of a prepared video and AMA session at a conference?
So prepared videos are going every Monday unless there is doomsday scenario.
No, I think that's not the question though. I don't think. Are you considering doing I'm putting in some words here. Considering doing the idea of a prepared video and AMA session at the meaning flipping it around. I think because we talked about this before. Do a video before, and then you go to the conference, and then do an AMA around the video that you published early. I think that's what he's talking about. Because we talked about that concept before.
Okay. I thought but at the conference.
So at the prior to the conference, it's like, hey, we're going to be talking about this video, right?
Okay, yeah.
Go watch this video first, and now let's go talk. You would do a quick 5-minute recap of it, right? And then now let's talk. Now let's do a real Q&A. Instead of having somebody talk for 45 minutes and go through 75 slides, you can't go through 75 slides in 45 minutes. And then maybe having 5 minutes for Q&A.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. Okay, now I'm getting it. Yeah. Yeah, just that I don't have enough influence at the conferences.
Right.
That's the problem.
Because that's not the way you do it.
I would, yeah. Now, finally, it clicked.
It's clicking.
Of like, what's it talking about? Yeah. Yes, I'd love that. But I am pushing more and more, kind of like, I think that now at least half of the requests I get to speak somewhere, I respond with, fireside chat, AMA.
It's because you can do that now. You have enough cachet and pull to be able to do that. I would not be able to do that.
No, it's still okay to say I have no bloody idea next.
I could do that for 45. I could do that for 45 minutes, but yeah, that would be easy. Roberto, I'm on my path learning being a DevOps. Thanks for this podcast. I've learned, still learning a lot. Roberto, thank you for listening and watching. We greatly appreciate it. That's very cool. We're actually impacting people in a positive way.
There you go.
Why are we doing that? I don't understand. Okay. So again, Monday over on DevOps Toolkit channel, Victor will have a video of some sort. Is it done yet?
It's done, yeah. It's
okay, I wasn't sure.
It's waiting.
Wednesday, podcast, 6 a.m. Eastern. Thursday. Oh, by the way, who's the guest for next Thursday? I actually think I saw it, unless...
Ruben from
Kubevius. Right.
Yes.
And then...
I really like what I liked Kubevius in the past. I was... especially that back then I was even less positive than I am right now. and I was very positive towards Kubernetes. I don't know if you remember it, Darren, but it really tried to solve different problems than all other dashboards combined. And it's moving in a nice direction, so so now, the AMA is not going to be about Kubernetes, to be clear. But I thought, hey, man, why don't you come? Let's talk.
Yep. And then next Friday, we're off. We're taking next Friday off.
We're somewhere.
Okay. So for everybody watching live, thanks for hanging out with us for about the past hour. If you're watching the replay, thanks to both groups. Give us a thumbs up before you leave, if you don't mind. And Jivaden, I again want to say thank you for the super chat. You were the first. So, very cool. Thank you very, very much. To everybody else, have a great weekend. And on Friday, we'll see you in 2 weeks. And bye. Do I know what I'm doing? No, I don't.
Hey, thanks, Roberto, as well.
Yes. Roberto, thank you, thank you, thank you. Wait, did he do something?
Yeah.
Holy cow. Let's put it up here. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And to everybody else, have a great weekend.